Vachai Namo Namaha. Jai Tosi Maharani. We offer our most respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, just like the Zayatris, who are the friend. What's that? Okay, is that light outside? Light outside. Light outside.
That's so cool.
Ready to go? Bugs? Okay, you're responsible if there's bugs. You can see one? All right. It's your karma. All right. Jaya Radhamadhava Kunda Bihari. Jaya Radhamadhava Kunda Bihari. Gopi Nana Balaba Hiribaro Dade. Gopi Nana Balaba Hiribaro Dade. Yasodanandana Vraja Janadandana. Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tera Manachade. Yamuna Tera Manachare. Jai Urad Umadhava Kunda Vikhati. Jai Urad Umadhava Kunda Vikhati. Gopi Danabalaba Girivadadati Gopi Danabalaba Girivadadati Yasodanandana Braja Janarandana Yasodanandana Braja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Panachade Yamuna Tira Panachade Jai Huradam Padhova Kunya Vihari Jai Radhu Madhova Kunya Vihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravatikacharya also Teta Satishi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Chananana Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Purava Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopikapanath Shyam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturadam Ki Jai Jagadavasami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shimani Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bo all glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda, Hari 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 Bo. Let me just check. Okay. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 23rd chapter, text 50. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasmai Namo Bhagavate Krishnaya Kunta Made say Yan Maya Mohita Dio Abrahma Maha Karma Vartmasu Tasmai namo bhagavate Krishnaya kuntamedase Yanmaya mohita diho Ramama karma vatmasu Tasmai namo bhagavate Krishnaya kuntamedase Yanmaya mohita diho Ramama karma vatmasu Tasmai namahu bhagavate Krishnaya kuntamedase Yanmaya mohita diho Ramama karma vartmasu. Okay. Oh Bhagavate Krishnaya kuntamedase Maya mohito dio Rama karma vartmasu Maya namo Bhagavate Hey, mohito dio Masu. Maya namo Bhagavate Say Maya mohito dio Masu. All right. Tasmai unto him. Oops. Skipped here. Namaha. Obeisances. Bhagavate. Unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishnaya. Lord Krishna. Akuntame to say, whose intelligence is never restricted. Yet by whose illusory potency. Mohita, bewildered. Diyaha, whose minds. Brahma Maha, we are wandering. Karma Vartmasu, upon the paths of fruitive activity. So, translation, let us offer our obeisances unto Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His intelligence is never bewildered, whereas we, confused by his power of illusion, are simply wandering about on the paths of fruitive work. You can repeat. Let us offer our obeisances unto Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His intelligence is never bewildered, whereas we, confused by his power of illusion, are simply wandering about on the paths of fruitive work. So there's no commentary by the followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, so we'll read the commentaries of the Acharyas, beginning with Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. And I think you have that up there, right? Feeling very low, the Brahmanas asked forgiveness from the Lord. And that's very short. And Jiva Goswami comments, showing their foolishness, they are amazed by the power of Maya to bewilder them and offer respects to the omniscient Lord with devotion to remove that illusion. We offer respects to the Lord full of inconceivable powers, Bhagavate, who has unfailing knowledge, Akunta made us say. They describe themselves as the opposite. By Maya, our intelligence is bewildered, and we wander on the path of karma, repeatedly absorbed in it, like falling into a whirlpool and being unable to get out. And Sanatan Goswami comments, showing their foolishness, they were amazed by the power of Maya to bewilder them. Now, this is really interesting. Showing their foolishness, they were amazed by the power of Maya to bewilder them and offered respects to the omniscient Lord with devotion to remove that illusion. We offer respects to the Lord full of inconceivable powers, Bhagavate. It is difficult for us to know him. Or we offer respects to the Lord who manifests himself as Bhagawan with unlimited qualities because he is Krishna. Otherwise, he would not herd cows. Or otherwise, in some other form, he would not give us mercy by begging food. Or as Krishna, he attracted the hearts of our wives. From him arise proper memory. Ukunta made us say. He gives our wives memory to do their household duties, or he has continuous knowledge. Others like us are thus fools. He thus knows about us who are manifested from his power of Maya, and he knows his great qualities such as mercy. We wander about again and again, absorbed in the path of karma, as if in a whirlpool and cannot get out. Or we wander about unable to surrender to him, since we cannot determine his existence with faith. so, so again, we go back to the verse. Tasmai namo bhagavate krishnaya kundameda se yanmaya mohita diho brahma ma karma vartmasu. So, Om Gana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Meditam Yena Tasmai Shikravena Maha. So here we find, as I've pointed out in previous classes, that they are just glorifying the strength of the Lord's illusory energy. And it's not really, of course, they're feeling remorseful, but there's not really taking so much responsibility. Like, for example, when Srila Prabhupada was with one of his servants and his servants would make a mistake, uh, then the servant would say, I'm just in Maya. Prabhupada would chastise him. So what are you going to do about it? It's not. So, in other words, it's still this excuse making, and still they haven't taken shelter completely of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in spite of having knowledge. They have knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. Yet, why is it they have not become fearless? As we're going to read at the end of the chapter, they're full of fear, just like this word akunta. Akunta, of course, means anxiety, fear, and everything like that. Akunta means without. It's the opposite of that. So they're actually full of fear of Kamsa. So you would think they have knowledge. So what's happening? And in the 16th chapter of the Gita, we find uh, some indication of what it means to be Abhaya, beginning of 16th chapter, in case those of you who want to look it up. Abhaya Sapta Samshuddhi Jnana Yoga Vivasatahi. Uh, so it's very interesting. Krishna says, as far as a divine quality, that's what he's talking about. Abhaya, freedom from fear, freedom from anxiety, abhaya, sattva, samshuddhi. That one has to be established in what? Goodness, samshuddhi. But jnana yoga, vivasatahi. So one has to get his knowledge from yoga. And we're not talking about hatha yoga and concentrating on all those wonderful chakras that you're all attached to. So, Just like yesterday, we were talking to someone about the Muladhara chakra. Oh, he said, my problem is my Muladhara chakra. Anyway, so, but yoga, the word in this particular context means that one has to be connected to Krishna with devotion. Yoga, that's what the word yoga, it comes from the root used, which means connection, just like, and I've often talked about this before, just like in English, you have ligare, ligament, things like that. Read ligare, connect yourself again, religion, etc., like that. So that's what yoga is. Without being connected with Krishna, you're not going to become abhaya, free from fear. And there's an interesting verse which I'm going to make reference to. Obviously, that's why I have this other verse of the Bhagavad Gita here. That first of all, why is one free, full of fear in this world? Because padam padam yadvi padam natesham. That's also a verse from the Bhagavatam. There's danger at every step. And we're in anxiety about so many things. It's like if you're going to the university, you're anxiety about your grades. And of course, we have some young people here that were not in anxiety because they're being pampered by their parents so much. What's going to happen, like I say to Ishwara Chaitanya, right? What's going to happen when you get old? Oh, you'll take care of me, Dad. So, but actually, it's good to have a little healthy anxiety about life, to plan for the future. Actually, even Prabhupada, he was in anxiety sometimes over the state of the Krishna conscious movement. He was I mean, there's several instances actually that come to mind. One is that uh, when the devotees didn't put his name properly on the books, this is the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which they were publishing as little booklets. I don't know if any of you remember that. Probably very few of you remember that. And they just had Bhaktivedanta Swami. And Prabhupada got an anxiety about that. And Prabhupada got an anxiety because he opened up the book, and guess what? The uh, binding just like gave way and all the pages flew out. I remember that. It was really terrible. And so you may say, oh, Prabhupada's an anxiety about something material. No, he's anxiety about the future of the Krishna conscious movement. Prabhupada said it was an anxiety that when he left the planet, the devotees wouldn't cooperate or keep together. He said just at least maintain. And Prabhupada was an anxiety when he sent Tamal Krishna Maharaj to buy the land in Mayapur. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj had the money just like in his money belt, an improvised money belt wrapped around his waist. And Prabhupada was just like pacing the floor in anxiety, waiting for him to come back. So there is spiritual anxiety, but material anxiety is actually simply based upon forgetfulness of Krishna. Uh, and that material anxiety causes kunta medase. So here we're talking about akunta medase. Akunta medase means clear mind. Actually, Krishna Prabhupada translates it different ways in different verses. But akunta medase means to have a clear mind or clear consciousness. Medase means the mind, means without anxiety. So that it's very important to become free from material anxiety so that your mind can become clear so you can think about Krishna and you can have proper intelligence. Sumedha say, there's another verse, uh, that Krishna Varnam Trisa Krishna, Sango Panga Shaparshanam, Yai Sankirtan, Prayar, Janti Hi Sumedha say, which is a very important verse that in Kali, Krishna Varnam, Krishna, in Kali Yuga, Krishna doesn't appear as blackish, but Akrishnam, and he's also chanting the holy names. Uh, Yagyahi Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Sumedase. Those are sufficient intelligence. They have Sumedase. So, all these words with Medase. There's Sumedase, Kunta Medase, Akunta Medase. So a devotee should have Akunta Medase and also Sumedase. Su means good intelligence. So what's interfering with that is described in this particular verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 11th canto, second chapter, text 37. Actually, there was already a mark here. Perhaps someone made reference to it previously, which is a verse that Prabhupada would often quote. That's 11:2:37, if you want to look it up. Uh, Mayam dvitini viniveshata shad, ishad apetasha vipario smritihi, tanmayato Buddha abhajet tam, bhaktyai guru devatatma, which is such a wonderful verse. I'm going to read the translation to it. Fear, fear, anxiety, distress, arises when the living entity misidentifies himself as the material body. But that's not the solution to not identify yourself, because in other places it's stated simply jnana is not going to actually free you from fear. The jnana meaning what? That you're not the body. Like you can go into the hospital where a devotee is being operated on, the devotee is in pain, and just keep telling him he's not the body. That's the problem with Buddhism. Big problem with Buddhism is that, yeah, you're not this, you're not that, right living, right thinking, everything like that. But what are you? What are you? Of course, different branches of Buddhism have different descriptions of what you are, but nothing is very exciting. Uh, in other words, what are you? So, really, it's not enough to have gyan. One has to have vigyan. One has to have bhakti to be free of fear. So, let me continue with this verse. Fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as a material body. That's what Buddhism says, same thing. Because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. Buddhism also says that. When the living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, Buddhism doesn't say that, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. This bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency for illusion called Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord, and here's the key, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master whom he should accept as his worshipable deity and as his very life and soul. And in the purport, the devotees, the servants of Srila Prabhupada, actually are quoting from different commentators. And in the purport, there's the quote of this famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita, 7:14, Davihesha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Duracha, Mameva Ye Prapajante, Mayami Tam Tarantite. That this material energy, I think all of you know that verse, is very difficult to overcome. Davihesha Gunamayi is my material energy. Uh, Mama Maya Durachya, Mama Maya, it's mine. But who surrenders it to me can cross beyond it. So that's the key. Without surrender to Krishna, you can't cross beyond it. You can't become free of anxiety. And it's further in the purport, it's described that we have to enter into the chit shakti of the Lord. Let me just read a little bit of the illusory potency of the Supreme Lord is Durachya. It is impossible to escape without the direct mercy of Krishna. Mama evaye prapajante mayam maitam torantite. The example may be given that when the sun is covered by clouds, no man apparatus can remove them from the sky, but the sun itself, which created the clouds, can immediately burn away the cloudy covering and reveal itself. Prabhupada spoke about this many times, that the clouds are actually creations of the sun. We understand that scientifically, that the sun emanates heat, it evaporates the water, and the clouds appear. And if the sun is very powerful, it can disintegrate the clouds too. So the whole point, of course, another statement given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is hmm, Krishna Surya Samamaya Haya Andakar, that Krishna is the sun, Maya is the absence of sun or of darkness. So the whole point is to actually keep Krishna and devotion to Krishna, and actually is mentioned here in the purport and the verse, uh, that which is non-different from devotion to Krishna's representative, the spiritual master. In other words, to see Krishna everywhere and see Krishna and everything, as that verse which I often quote from the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the 30th verse. Yomam pashati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashati tashaham na pranashami sachame na pranashyati. That one should see Krishna everywhere and see Krishna in everything. And one who sees Krishna like that is never lost to Krishna, nor is Krishna ever lost to him. Very, very important verse in the Bhagavad Gita. So I'm going to describe in a second how to do that. And of course, in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 2nd canto, there's another description of what it means or what Maya or illusion is in terms of forgetting Krishna. And it's a famous verse, 2nd canto, 9th chapter, uh, text 34, Rate Ratam na pratyeta chatmani tadvidyad atmano mayam yata basha yata tamaha. Know that if you see anything without connection to me, that is my illusory energy, which is like a reflection that appears in darkness. So Krishna is describing the fearful condition or uh, what illusion is, and illusion leads to that fearful condition, which means to see something without connection to Krishna. So, how do we, the question arises, how can we see everything in connection to Krishna? Well, there's several different ways. I mean, one way that I employ is that I'm thinking, as mentioned in this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, that I try to think on how to please Prabhupada. So because that's non-different than thinking of Krishna, the spiritual master's instructions. Uh, Shakshad Hari Trena Samasta Shastra. So we think about the spiritual master's instructions and pleasing the spiritual master or pleasing Srila Prabhupada. And in that way, we can think of Krishna 24 hours a day. And that also means uh, to see that everything in this world, as described in the Upanishad, Ishavashamidam sarvam yakancha kinchid jagacham jagat tena chiktena bunjada margretha kashasvedanam. Everything is owned and controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And everything is meant to be used in his service, and Krishna is giving us specific quotas, giving everybody a certain amount of his energy to use in his service. So, in other words, to see everything as meant to be used in Krishna's service, connected to Krishna, meant to be used in his service, and in the service of the spiritual master. And if one sees like that, at that point, one can become free from fear, free from anxiety, because one understands what? Nirmana mohajita sangha dosha, avyatma nitya vinivrita kama, dvandvar vimuktar sukaduka samyar gachan shamuda padamavyam tat. What does one understand? He becomes free from nirmana, free from, not free from nirmana, free from mana. He becomes nirmana, which means free from false prestige, which means I and mine, that I own something, I'm the proprietor or something. So then he has nothing to lose. Why are we on anxiety? Because we have something to lose. For example, I'm in anxiety because, for example, if I drive my car, especially the newer car, which shall remain nameless, uh, that it may get scratched up. So I'm in anxiety. So I have something to lose. And so, but when you understand, you have nothing to lose except for your spiritual life. That you should be in anxiety about. What is there? What is there for you to lose? You never had anything in the first place. Everything belongs to Krishna. This body, which you're claiming is yours, you have a right to do whatever you want with it, is not yours. Did you come up with the ingredients for the body before you were born? Did you design it? I know I wouldn't have designed my body the same way. I would have designed it completely differently. So, no, what is your claim to ownership? So there's nothing is yours. Nirvana moha, chittas. false prestige. Nothing is mine. Uh, Jita Sangha Dosha. Uh, and then free of bad association. Anyway, I'm not going to translate that whole verse in the Bhagavad Gita. But so the point is that then you realize that what's there to fear? If the Brahmanas had gone to see Kamsa and Kamsa got angry with them, he may kill them, or he may take away more taxes from them. But one understands Nitya Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam, Eko Balhanam, what? Yovadadati Kama. The Krishna's taking care of you. And if Krishna wants to kill you, Krishna wants to take everything away, as Prabhupada's father would often tell him, what? Krishna has 10 hands. He can take everything away from you. I mean, of course, at the same time, we don't act foolishly and just like take chances. We do wear seatbelts. We do brake at the stoplights completely. So at least we don't get a ticket. So, I mean, but at the same time, Krishna has 10 arms. He can take everything away or he can give everything to you. I mean, sometimes I get amazed at how Krishna is giving me things. And other times I get amazed how Krishna is taking things away. Sometimes something will come up like all of a sudden and, oh my God, Krishna. So Krishna has this way of dealing with us like this. And it's really exciting, anxiety filled. But anyways, but if you're seeing Krishna everywhere and everything, then whatever happens is an impetus for getting closer to Krishna. What is that verse? Sadhavo Hridayam Mayam Jadnam Hridayam Toham Varanyat Harajet Yanati Naham Tebyo Managapi. Krishna says, the sages have me in their hearts, I have them in their hearts, and they don't know anyone else but me as theirs. And I do not know anyone else but mine, anyone else is belonging to me, but them. So there's that reciprocal relationship. So seeing Krishna everywhere and in everything, and then there's no anxiety. However, one can have anxiety over spreading Krishna consciousness. One can have anxiety over uh, separation from Krishna, like Lord Chaitanya was in anxiety. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? I mean, is that story even when he was young? He said to Gadadhar, Pandit Goswami, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And Gadadhar Pandit Goswami said, he's in your heart. And then Lord Chaitanya started to tear apart his skin. Of course, transcendental body. And then Gadadhar held his hands, and Mother Sachi said, what? You're an intelligent boy. You should be around him all the time. So that sort of anxiety is great. That transcendental anxiety is we desire it. Yugaitam nimishena. Chakshusha parvashaitam shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda vidahename. So referring back to this particular verse in the Bhagavatam, the Brahmanas were not in that spiritual anxiety. They were still in material anxiety because they had not made that connection, understanding uh, how Krishna is protecting everybody. Uh, like when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went through the forest, he would be chanting, Krishna, Pahimam, Rakshamam. So we should always be thinking like that. Krishna's protecting us, Krishna's maintaining. Of course, these are the surrendering principles too, isn't it? You have these 6 surrendering principles. Accept everything favorable, reject everything unfavorable. Always understand the Lord is maintaining one. Always understand the Lord is protecting one. And then the last 2 are pretty hard. I can't even think of, I mean, I know what they are because they're so intense. To always be meek and humble and to have no separate interest other than the interest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But, if we have that faith, then we can work enthusiastically, be in anxiety about not pleasing Krishna enough, be in anxiety about bringing people to Krishna consciousness, be in anxiety about separation from Krishna. Just like this morning, I was in anxiety, uh, thinking that why am I not in Brindavan at this time of the year? I was picturing in my mind, we can do that. And that spiritual anxiety is purifying. I was thinking of just walking around Govardhan, just anxiety. Why am I not there? So, anyway, so any questions or comments about anxiety? Yes, Akunta made us say.
I mean, this is all clear. You hear,
Yeah,
but how do you? But you know, anxiety is spontaneous.
yeah,
How does one come to a platform where actually this kind of faith is there, so that
yeah.
the spontaneous eruption of material anxiety doesn't really happen?
Yeah, you touched upon the most important word. Thank you very much for bringing it up. And the word is faith. Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kahe Sudrita Nishya. How do we develop that faith? I was actually listening to a class of Prabhupada this morning where he was talking about faith. And first, he was talking about blind faith, how when you hear from if you're a little kid, you hear from your father, you should have blind faith because the father says, this is a pen or this is this, then you accept that blindly. And Prabhupada said that's perfect knowledge. At the same time, Prabhupada said that blind faith, absurd inquiries are condemned in the Bhagavad Gita. He talks about that. So the devotees asked Prabhupada, how does one develop that faith? And Prabhupada remarked or answered, he said, by association with sadhus, that faith develops. Because that faith develops, just like the word used here in the verse today, there's this word, brahmanam or something like that, wandering. Brahmanda Brahmate Konna Bhagwan Jiv Guru Krishna Prasadi Bhai Bhakti Lata Bish. That the living entity is wandering, but that faith comes when he comes in contact. And Prabhupada was even talking about, oh, this is really interesting now that I'm remembering the whole conversation. Prabhupada says the faith comes beginning with the tongue. Because he was saying faith comes from eating prasadam, Prabhupada was talking about, or vibrating the holy name with the tongue. Atakshi Krishna Namadi Nabhavet Graham Indriya. Sevan Mukehi Jivado Swayameva Sparachara. So it was interesting because one devotee asked Prabhupada, what do we do if people don't have faith? Should we talk philosophy? And Prabhupada said, just give them prasadam, something like that. Just give them prasadam because faith begins with the tongue. I thought that was quite interesting. Vibration of the tongue, let them chant and dance, also, Prabhupada said. He didn't just say, just feed them, but he said, give them prasadam and have them chant and dance. And then the faith will grow from that simple process. Because in many cases, people are not going to be able to understand philosophy. We have to really understand who we're talking to. Just like I was talking to our teacher here, Champakalata, about how she's presenting scientific knowledge to the kids and she's showing them some of Sadhaputa's stuff. And I said, this is really high level stuff. They're not going to be able to understand this. Because I can give them something that's really more basic, down to earth. Isn't it, Ishwar? I mean, look at Sadhaputa's stuff and you talk about information theory and probability theory, and the children are going, oh, Hare Krishna. So sometimes, we have to really dumb down Krishna, not Krishna consciousness is dumb, but we have to really, what KC for idiots or something like that. They have all these books like that. What? Dummies, sorry. Not idiot. KC for dummies. So basically you give people prasadam, you give people association, and then the faith develops. Because in the beginning they won't have that faith. And so that's the question, just hearing. Just like you find in the story in the Krishna book, for example, you have Rukmini. She heard about Krishna and that faith, or of course, she's eternally Krishna's wife, we understand. But that dedication and everything grew in more and more. And even the story of Nal and Damayanti, that's the same thing. It's interesting that Damayanti heard about Nal from a bird. So the faith grows by association. Yes, so question?
Yeah, I've got a question because it also seems like a big part of it is trust. And so, is there a difference between trust and faith?
Yeah, well, that's connected. Faith means not just believing, but according to Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, the verse that I had just quoted, Shraddha Shabde Vishasha Kahe Sudrida Nishya, faith means having trust that simply doing what has been asked of us, everything is accomplished. So, yes, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami equates faith or defines faith in terms of the word trust. And that takes some time to develop. But it begins with hearing and chanting and taking prasadam, which is what Srila Prabhupada said. So, we got a few seconds for another question. In other words, to summarize, we should be in anxiety about Krishna, pleasing Krishna. And if we have this trust and faith in Krishna, we won't be in anxiety about our own selves. Okay, on that happy note, all glories and divine grace to the Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai. Sri Radha Golokananda ki jai.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindanalayataptam Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Andani Yasa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Vivan Vikayanti Giram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham
Oh hey Vaishnava Thakur, Doyara Sagar, Ada Se Karuna Kauri. Oh hey Vaishnava Thakur, Doyara Sagar, Ada Se Karuna Kauri. Dia Pada Jaya Shoda Hega Maya Tomara Charana Dore Dia Pada Jaya Shoda Hega Maya Tomara Charana Dore Jaya Begadami, Jaya Dosha Shodi, Jaya Guna Deho Dasai, Jaya Begadami, Jaya Dosha Shodi, Jaya Guna Deho Dasai. Jaya Sat Sangha Deho Eho Mare Oshate Sanghe Rahase Jaya Sat Sangha Deho Eho Mare Oshate Sanghe Rahase Ekake Amara Sai Poi Poro Harinam Sankirtane Ekake Amara Sai Poi Poro Harinam Sankirtane Tumi Kripa Ori Shara Bindu Jaya Jaya Krishna Namadane Tumi Kripa Ori Shara Bindu Jaya Jaya Krishna Namadane Krishna say tomorrow Krishna Dite Paro Tomara Chakati Ajay Krishna say Tomara Krishna Dite Paro Tomara Chakati Ajay Amito Gangara Krishna Krishna Bore Gaitava Vache Vache Amita Gangara Krishna Krishna Bore Gaitava Vache Vache Amito Gangara Krishna Krishna Bore Gaitava Vache Vache Amito Gangara Krishna Krishna Bore Thakur, Goyara Sagar, Ada Se Karuna Gore. Oe Vaisnava Thakur, Goyara Sagar, Ada Se Karuna Gore. Hiya Padachaya, Yoda Haya, Tomara Chadhara Dore. Hiya Padachaya, Yoda Haya, Tomara Chadhara Dore. Jairat, Avarokan Anurat, Avarokan Anurate. Jairat, Avarokan Anurat, Avarokan Anurate. Jairat, 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 Jairat. Jayo Radhe, 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 Jaya Shri Radhe. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhadacharya. All Stata Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace. Abhaya Chananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shyam Kun Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturidam Ki Jai Jagadava Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lalasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari 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 Bol. Okay. O Venerable Vaishnava, O Ocean of Mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults, bestow upon me the 6 qualities, and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I'm simply running behind you shouting, Krishna, Krishna. And I Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. All right, Chief Shastra.
In this regard, I wanted to say that in order for us to have the strength to carry on and hold the Sankirtan holy name of Hari, this Saturday we're requesting people to join us at the Liberty Market at noon, so we can have our reinvigorate our local Haruna Sankirtan. You don't have to go all the way to carry 3 miles. Harinam Sankirtan.
Jai Haribol. Okay, Shikshastika. Interesting. Chandrika Vitaranam Vijaya